Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review Q&A show. It is a show that's run by you guys. It brings me great joy to say I'm not alone this week. I'm joined by Stevie Clifford. Can't remember the last time you were on with me, Stevie, for one of these shows, but good to have you back on. How's it going since we last spoke a little under 2 hours ago?
Yeah, fine, thanks. I went away, had a couple of rolls and sausage, got some administration done, Derek. You know how busy it is over in the life of four lads, so I had to get some stuff done, which I done. And then my internet is down for some reason, which is a slight delay, so I apologise for being a couple of minutes over there, but no idea why, but we're all offline, so I'm hoping this goes okay.
Fingers crossed, barring any disasters, we can hear us loud and clear, folks. But without much further ado, let's get stuck right in because there is a host of questions. Pop the link out on the community page as ever, and there's loads on there before we start tackling the ones on the side of our screens. Aldo gets in touch first of all. Afternoon, Aldo. He says, how good are Barron and Raskin together, by the way? Been screaming for that pairing all season. Well, we touched on this in the morning show, the pair of them. We're starting to see a real midfield dynamic blossoming there, hopefully, and going forward. Raskin's been someone that we've all been itching to see more of. He has had injury problems, of course. Connor Barron, for me, it's been the signing of the summer. I know that Joshua and many others have really been taken by Jefte, who has been good as well, but Barron, for me, has been a real star since coming in from Aberdeen. But without wanting to go over old ground that we mentioned this morning, Stevie, let's just hope that the pair of them can steer clear of injury. That is Rangers' midfield duo going forward.
Yeah, it is. Consistency is key now for them. Big month ahead for them once they come back from international duty to really try and press on and show their consistency levels. Derek, we talked about it this morning. Raskin 16 recoveries, Barron 8 recoveries, league average is 6. So that shows you how well Nico Raskin played and Connor Barron last night. Barron affecting the play in the final third for the goal as well. So yeah, listen, really pleased with both of them, but it's about now showing that level of consistency. We want to be able to say that they too could get into the Celtic midfield. Yeah, that's a level they need to get to keep performing, because they love to tell us that none of our players would get in their team and we're not good enough, etc. That's fine. Understand that, and 9 points behind, we can't really argue that. But it's up to them to make a case that they can be consistent enough for us where people start asking those questions. So that's a challenge for them, and the bigger challenges will be in that cup final to see whether or not they can perform in these games and things like that, Derek. So very promising last night. Let's see it continue.
Yeah, I like them. They've got fight and dig about them. There's a great piece, incidentally, on the website. Joshua has written about their performances last night. Do go and check it out. Martin Ferguson gets in touch. He says, I have to wait and see if the penny is dropped with Big Phil, but surely the starting 11 must be the team going forward with a proper right back, midfield 3, and add Danilo up front. We should start picking up performances in the league. Surely the starting 11 must be the team going forward. The only one I would say, certainly domestically, I would swap Robin Proper out at this moment in time. I think he's more suited to European football. I get your point on Danilo. I think I'd be starting him against Hearts on Sunday. But we touched on this a bit on the show this morning, Stevie. Can't see him making wholesale changes from the team that got the draw last night.
No, but in a wider thing, we touched on this again, didn't we? That I think what everybody wants Philip Clement to realise in their mind, or the majority certainly do, that James Tavernier, Tom Lawrence, Cyril Dessers aren't in this team anymore going forward. Maybe uncomfortable to say, Derek, but that's what people have been wanting. That's what people have been talking about. Yeah. You saw it last night without Tavernier and Lawrence. Yeah. And I thought we were a lot quicker. I thought we were a lot more athletic and things like that. So it is understandable. I get it. But they're all still going to play their part. I don't think you can just suddenly rule them out. But yeah, I think Philippe Clement saw the difference after Motherwell. He certainly saw the difference last night. And the fact that he brought on Casavirzo for Sterling last night gives me a little bit of hope that maybe he's just seen that. And listen, James Tavernier's been an outstanding servant for Rangers. I think we all would say that, and we all know that. But time has caught up with him, at least at this moment in time. Whether or not he can regain it remains to be seen, because 33 isn't massively old in terms of football and career style, but 60 games a season's taken his toll, I think. So I think when people want and they talk about surely that team is, blah, 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 that's the one, that's what they're really saying. The Rangers teams they want is without those players included. So, we need to be careful of writing off Big Cyril, because he just does what he does last night, doesn't he? 1 minute, great. The other minute, he does what he does. So he'll have a part to play, and I think maybe Danilo can push, and maybe he can push, and we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think what we would like to see, I think, is beginning to take fruition on the pitch, and I'm just hopeful that the manager might see it.
Yeah, let's hope he does. Electroro55 gets in touch. It says, we seem to be decent in Europe and struggle against the Scottish teams. Why do you think we have ended up like that? And what has to change to be consistent domestically? Again, we sort of touched on this a little bit this morning. It helps when teams come out and have a go against Rangers in Europe. I enjoyed watching the game last night, and I generally do enjoy watching European games, because Rangers are coming up against teams that don't play that low block and ask Rangers to try and break them down. Now, I know people have cited, well, Aberdeen didn't do that a little over a week ago, which I get. Rangers came off second best in that game, but in the main, Rangers have had an issue, not just under Philip Clement, but previous regimes now, where they have found it difficult to beat teams that set up in that sort of structure in Scotland. It's something that Philip Clement is going to have to try and solve, Stevie, because it's cost Rangers, certainly domestically. Celtic have built a team that's conquered in Scotland, and they've, up until this season, they've found it difficult in Europe, but they now have a team that seems to be doing the business both at home and abroad as well. It's up to the manager to try and get a winning team on the park. And I've seen Brendan Rodgers saying that Scottish football is always going to be Celtic's bread and butter. That should be Rangers' bread and butter. It's all well and good doing well in Europe and getting positive results like we did last night, but they have to do the business at home and try and get the better of these teams that try and stifle the game.
Yeah, and I think in order to do that, we need to add athleticism, we need to add pace, and we need to add a bit of power. And I don't think we've been able to do that. I think that's shown by our lack of numbers on set pieces. I think that's a big key kind of indicator for me, that you go to the likes of Kilmarnock and stuff where you need to make those marginal things make a difference, and we've got no pace on the attack, and we've got no physicality from set pieces. So these are things that you need to change. These are things that do change with certain players coming in at the moment. But listen, let's not kid ourselves on. The situation for Rangers of 5 or 6 signings, 5 or 6 first-team quality signings is still the case. In January, you need to try and add a couple of bits to the jigsaw, setting up a summer where they can say that's them had 3 windows to get to where they are. So that's what they need. That's why they're not successful at home in Scotland, because especially pace-wise, they really do lack that. So, yeah, there needs to be a little bit of more squad additions, and that's going to be really difficult considering that we're running at massive losses. So,
yeah,
you find a way, Derek.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Putting you to sleep there, Stevie. So that's
put myself to sleep with my chat, Derek. So.
Just off the bat, you sort of stole his fun. He had another point. This lad, he says, Tillman got an assist this week in the Champions League with a long throw. Does this potentially show weakness in our set play coaching because he didn't identify or use this? And he says, who was our last long throw specialist? Trying to think. A lot of teams do have a sort of Dave Challoner type, Rory Delap type in their team, and it can be really useful, a long throw. Rangers don't necessarily have someone that you can look on and
even if they did, Derek, who they thrown it to? Because Dessers wasn't winning in the air.
Yeah.
And then the three behind him last night, Tierney, Bayrami and Diamande, Raskin, Barron, chuck them all in. None of them are physical and none of them are capable. So does it put pressure on? Yeah, but it's going to be easily dealt with by 3 6-foot defenders for Kilmarnock. So that is, we are not set up to win in Scotland. We're not set up to win in Scotland. We are set up to do well in Europe, which is why over the last few years we've done well in Europe. I don't think it's rocket science.
Yeah. And another point on that, it says, do you think this manager takes too long to make important decisions? We've been calling for Sterling at right back for months, and now the manager is getting credit. It's far too late. I think that was levelled at him at times. I've said it before. I think he's been a bit reactive rather than proactive at times. But hopefully, as we just touched on there, it's starting to fall into place now where he thinks that James Tavernier is on the way out, and he looks to Dujon Sterling as the future at Rangers. He was brought in as a right back initially anyway, and we've not even seen him more than probably a handful of times in that position. But hopefully the penny is starting to drop on the manager there with regards to team selection. Stuart Ritchie, the team is showing signs of improvement in playing players in their natural position. Is there merit in moving Bayrami to 10 and trying McCausland or Lovelace at left wing? McCausland came on last night for the tail end of the game. Lovelace is an interesting one because, Stevie, you watched him at Stirling Albion. He did well. He got brought off at half-time because the manager's seen enough and he impressed with the view of featuring for the first team. Came off the bench against FCSB. Hasn't been seen since. Would you like to have seen a bit more of him?
Yeah, because I don't think we're blessed with Ross McCausland on the left. No. Ross McCausland is back up to Tierney, which is where he is in the squad, which is absolutely fine. Has he shown enough to merit a start? No. So I'm not trying him on the left. I'd be more inclined to shift Jeffy forward, maybe.
Yeah.
Does Casaviro come in at left back? Redvan's now fit again. Matondo is getting back on the left-hand side. Would you move for Ryan Kent in January? There's options to get Bayrami in the 10. Now, if you've got Raskin and Barron chipping away in that midfield, winning balls and everything else, then you want to get it forward to Bayrami. But Bayrami also needs a guy that's moving in front of him as well. So there's little components to fit into place. And this is what we were talking about, Derek, wasn't it? About maybe getting the right people in January and seeing what we could do and wheeling and dealing, etc. So would I like to see Bayrami in a 10? Yeah, absolutely would, especially on a performance like last night. But Diamande did a hell of a lot of work as well. So he's just maybe not got the guile of a natural 10. He's more of a box-to-box kind of 8, I think. He's not quite a 6. He's not quite a 10. So he's like a left-sided kind of centre mid. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, interesting conundrum. Bayrami, I think, is an excellent player. He's got a turn of pace. He's capable of a goal threat. He's good on the eye. He's good at passing. If you manage to get somebody in on that jigsaw on the left and somebody up front that can actually hold the ball up and move and he can work with, which, no disrespect to Cyril, don't think he does that well. If he can get that, then you might see this team beginning to look a wee bit more profitable up front, that's for sure.
Yep. Just on Kent there that you mentioned, of course, he was let go by Fenerbahce. Pretty nightmarish time for him over there in Turkey. As a free agent, is available to join another club in January. There are other clubs sniffing about, of course. Hearing reports even that the Aris Limassol may be interested in getting the band back together, but whether he fancy that, I'm not entirely sure. Would you like to see him return to Rangers? Do you think he could offer something, Stevie? We know the manager was quizzed on him recently in a press conference. He tried to sign him when he was the manager of Bruges. He is a fan of him. Would you be opposed or open to the prospect of a Ryan Kent return?
Absolutely. But it's on a short-term deal and it's not for anywhere near the amount of money that he thinks or he might think that he's worth. So, yeah, there's caveats to it, our old favourite word.
Yeah.
But if you offer me Ryan Kent, robust, always available, on half the money that Rabi Matondo, who's never available, is on, then I'm sorry, but I'm taking it. and it's about maximising value for this club. And Ryan Kent has got a lot to prove, so that's why it would be a short-term deal. He's not really kicked his own self in the last couple of years, has he? So he needs to pick it up, but we know what he's capable of. Sometimes players just find a home, a spiritual home that they're happy and content with. Maybe this one is for Ryan Kent, maybe Ibrox is for him. So, listen, I think it would be foolish in our circumstances, Derek, not to investigate a guy that's free. Is it capable? Are we capable of doing it? So yeah, it might not be popular, and I realise it isn't, and I'm not one for going back constantly, but we're in a position where we're leaking money. That's not going to change next season either, due to Hampden and everything else. Our transfer budget isn't going to be massive. We're going to need to sell. So that means Matondo, maybe Yilmaz, these guys that are never available for us, Derek, but are still taking a lot of money. We need to maximise our squad as best we can, and Philippe Clement will know that as well. And you bring in Ryan Kent on the left-hand side on a fraction of money on a short-term deal. It's about 18 months, right? See, with an option. If he proves himself, then there's a capability of that wage going up in a longer deal and all that. Great. But you've got to make him work for it a wee bit. So, would I have him back? Yeah, absolutely.
Now, a couple of points just coming in off the back of that. Rob says, I would definitely take Kent back 100%. Murray with a point. We touched on this, I think, earlier on in the week. He says, will Finlay Curtis get a chance on the left? Scored a hat-trick for the B team in their match against, for the life of me, was it Partick Thistle or something like that in the Glasgow Cup in a 5-0 win? Certainly earning rave reviews. Stevie, he's someone that should be knocking on the door for a chance soon, you'd imagine.
Well, he is. That's the thing. I always laugh about people that say, when's Finlay Curtis getting a game? How much have people really seen of Finlay Curtis? Because I've only seen him a couple of times, and he's bright, but he's a young boy. He's only just turned 18. He's only just getting physically up to speed of where we should be. He's not as physically well adaptable and as built as Zach Lovelace, for example. So he's got a bit of filling out and things to do, Derek, before. But his goal rate is unbelievable. I've seen him score a couple of really good goals against Steny last month. So, listen, he's one that should be knocking on the door. He's one that is training with the first team. He went to Holland with the first team. So, yeah, I think he's one that's certainly going to be in the manager's mindset. Maybe not for straight away, but certainly for the future. So,
yeah,
would I love Finlay Curtis to get a bench space instead of somebody like Kieran Dowell? The answer to that is 100% yes. Kieran Dowell is somebody in the squad like Matondo, like Redvan, etc., that is costing us a lot for a very little in return.
Yeah.
Would I rather see a youngster? Absolutely, I will. So, and listen, Derek, we're all being adult on this show. Everybody knows the losses and the wage bill and etc. We cannot afford $100,000 a week on 3 guys that don't contribute. So there needs to be a little bit of a grown-up attitude when it comes to that, and we need to say, you aren't contributing to this club. We need to maximise what we can get. That's $5 million a year. Matondo, Yilmaz, Dowell, it's a lot of money. So should somebody like Finlay Curtis be taking their place, Cole McKinnon, Jack Lovelace, what are you losing by losing any of these guys? And I don't think a lot. So it's maybe a wider discussion, but
yeah,
would I like to see Finlay Curtis get a chance? I'd certainly like to see him involved in the squads, yes.
Yeah. You look at last night, Olympiacos playing the young lad Moussakitis in the middle of the park. He's very highly rated over there, just been called up to the Greek senior setup, 17 years of age, taking the free kicks, the corners and what have you. He's certainly destined for great things, you'd imagine, but I really like that Mendeleebar giving him an opportunity in the first team. If you're good enough, you're old enough, as the old saying goes. So, I would like to see some of these young lads getting an opportunity. Now, Fruit Pastel God gets in touch about the youth before we get to that.
Love a fruit pastel, Derek.
I've not had one for years, to be honest with you. I do miss the old fruit pastels, but yeah, fantastic username. What's your favourite fruit pastel, Stevie?
Oh, it's got to be. I'm fond of the black ones and they're kind of like, kind of purpley, darker purple ones. So yeah.
Let us know your favourite fruit pastel, folks, in the comments as the conversation takes a twist here. Before we answer some of those, Gary gets in touch. Do you think PC will continue with Sterling at right back, or do you think he'll revert back to Tav for the next couple of games? I hope he continues with Sterling. Think he starts Tav on Sunday, Stevie?
If he starts James Tavernier and he's at fault, I think he's setting himself up. I think the fact that Sterling and Casaveral both played would give me hope that they two are our fullbacks going forward. Unless there's a crisis and Casaveral needs to go left, etc. James Tavernier's time for me in Rangers' first team should be limited. And that's with all due respect to him. It really is. But at the moment, he's badly out of form. And the difference with him in the team and out of team is startling.
Yeah.
So if the manager doesn't recognise that, then you might find that goodwill and patience in the light of not getting the right results might come at a cost for him. So.
Yeah, and just off the back of that, there was a question from Scott. Afternoon, Scott says, with Sterling and Cash and Weasel both playing well in their natural positions, should we now use Tavernier as an auxiliary right mid from here on out? The manager has used him further forward. He's not opposed to that, Stevie. Václav Černý is the main man at the moment out there. As we've seen in games, sometimes he's okay playing there, but I don't think that is for the long term. Rangers using him in an advanced role. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't think it's a long-term solution at all. The difficult thing about James Tavernier is that if James Tavernier's not playing, then he's not offering value for money either, because he's the highest paid guy at the club. So it's an uncomfortable conversation, I think, for many, but it's a conversation that we...
Do you think there'll be interest in January? Of course, there was a bit of interest from Turkey in the summer.
I think there is interest, and there will be interest in James Tavernier, yes. So it'll be the next 2 months will tell us a lot, because if he's not playing, then we'll need to wait and see where his future lies. So, as I said, it's listen, Sterling and Casaveral are ahead of him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do I think he's athletic enough with enough pace to get to really make a difference from right wing? I'm not sure. The stats tell you he's still creating 2.6 chances per game. So it would be absolutely foolish to rule him out completely. But I think James Tavernier needs to be involved somewhere, given the levels of output. He's maybe done at fullback, but he's not. We're not talking about a 38-year-old guy here. So there is life left in James Tavernier, and maybe he'll have a renaissance once he gets a bit of a break and stuff like that. Try to be respectful, Derek, and mindful of the fact that, James Tavernier's created and done a hell of a lot, numbers-wise for Rangers in recent years. So it would be, of course he is. He's struggling at the moment. Yeah, he is. I think he's struggled this calendar year, to be quite honest with you. But it would be extremely, I don't want to say silly, but it'd be wrong to write him off. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, right, let's get to Fruit Pastel God's point. He says, Derek, what do you see as the future for Rice, Lowry, Fraser, McKinnon? They're not going to play this season, so where do they progress and benefit both them and us? Right, let's take them individually. Rice, I want to see go out on loan in January. I don't see how Alex Lowry, at the age he is going to make it at Rangers. Ditto Robbie Fraser. Cole McKinnon we touched on this morning. Big season, big few months for Cole McKinnon, given that his contract will be up soon as well. what do you make of that, Stevie? I think of the four, Bailey Rice is the one I want to get game time out there. I mean, you look across at Lennon Miller, who's turning up at Motherwell. Bailey Rice should be doing that at a club just now. So we'd like to see him put out on loan somewhere. Whether that's in Scotland, I would prefer a move down south or even abroad. I think it benefits the player and makes them develop more than what they would do if they just stayed at home and played in Scotland. But what's your view on those four?
Bailey Rice has been injured for the best part of a year and only just getting fit in the last couple of months. So I think January is a good time to reassess that. I'm with you, get him out on loan, get him playing. I would love to see him go somewhere in Scotland to a championship side where it's a really tough division. A loan in there could be great for him. Who do we have down there that we could send that's fairly friendly? Somebody like Queen's Park, maybe, Callum Davidson, etc. Really good move for him, and it's local. Still could train at Rangers, etc. So that might be something like that. Alex Lowry doesn't have a future at Rangers, judging on what we've seen. He's out of contract at the end of the season. I don't think that's unreasonable to say that. Robbie Fraser needs to get game time as well at some point. Cole McKinnon out of contract at the end of the season, needs game time as well. So Fraser, McKinnon, question mark. Rice, go out on loan. Alex Lowry, judging tremendous talent, all the talent in the world. But me and you watched him side by side in Birmingham, not try a leg in the first half down there, and we've not seen him since. No. I think the manager clearly thought that, he just never bothered that night. And I'm not sure if he's really, his heart or his head's in it or what. I'm not sure. He's had a really tough time as a young man. I get that.
I know.
But at some point, career-wise, he maybe needs to think about the bigger picture for him also.
Yeah. The other two he's not mentioned there. I mean, King and Devine also come into the reckoning with regards to that. They're at an age they need to play football, don't they? Yeah.
I think Adam Devine's out of contract at the end of the season as well, and he's not got a future at the club. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Leon King, I love Big Leon. I think he's great. On a hell of a lot of money, offering value for money, etc. We need to do something with him as well, because if he's not playing first team football, then he's miles out the picture there. He's not getting in at centre back. He's not getting in at right back. He's not getting in midfield. He's just not getting game time. He's a B team centre half. At some point or other, we need to make the decision of you're either going out on loan for 2 years and then we're getting rid. So that's a tough one because it's head over heart a wee bit.
Yeah, I would like to have seen him getting an opportunity in that number 6 position. That's where he's played for Scotland under 21s. I've heard rave reviews that's his most natural position. But like you, Steve, he's not getting a look in at this moment in time. So, a loan would probably be beneficial for him in January to really see if he can push on, because he has stagnated as well. Right, we'll wrap up with this. This is the last question, I think, by the looks of things, from Rab Hislop. Is there any updates on a new chairman? Of course, John Gilligan at the moment is interim chair. Rangers really stepping up the search for a new CEO. In terms of a new chairman, I've not heard anything on that. There's a few murmurings of potential candidates, but the club have been pretty quiet on it. Do you see that being sorted anytime soon, Stevie? Do you reckon we'll get a CEO? John Gilligan did say that the dream is to get one in before Christmas time. I think the CEO is the priority, but in terms of a new chairman, see John Gilligan being in that position for some time?
No, I don't. I think John Gilligan, turn of the year. I think you might hear about a new chairman quite soon. I know that there's been movement and interviews and speaking with people, so I think you might hear about a new chairman, possibly. I would hope within the next wee bit, and then the same with CEO is a bit more different. That's been quite quiet. So
yeah,
but murmurings, that word that you used, Derek, on a chairman is quite is a bit more forefront. So worth clearing up as well. Something people might have seen. A change of position this morning on Company's House for James Taylor, who's the Chief Financial Officer, who's also Club Secretary. That's been swapped about a wee bit of wee bit of housekeeping. I'm just going to bring up exactly what has been said to us. Graham Horseman, who's the club legal counsel, has been swapped to be company secretary. That is all that means. James Taylor is still chief financial officer, and it is not, another person leaving. So,
yeah,
thank goodness.
Yeah. There is that cleared up, folks. I think there's a piece on the website as well about that. But yeah, good stuff. Thanks for your questions once again, folks. Tremendous as always, and a big thank you for your support for the channel as well.
We're going to have to go for a wee nap, Derek, honestly.
I know, yawning away there.
So I stayed up late watching films last night. So
what did you watch?
What did I watch? I watched Rush Hour was on, and I watched Violent Night, which is good.
What is that? It's
like Santa Claus does Die Hard. Right? Santa Claus arrives at a house that's getting robbed, and he saves the day. It's great fun.
Wow.
I mean, it's like
what's that on Sky or Netflix or something?
Netflix.
Ah, class.
And it's the guy that's in Stranger Things.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
So he's Santa. Brilliant fun.
I might give it a watch a little later on.
Definitely, I would recommend it to everyone. It is great fun. Loads of violence. Brilliant.
Excellent. The more violence, the better. Right, before you go, Stevie, how's Sunday going? I know you'll be popping along to Ibrox. Rangers winning, do you reckon?
I certainly hope so. 2 good results this week. It's about momentum. It's about doing the right things. So there was lots of good things last night. Let's try and build on that, get a wee bit of momentum, make sure the team selection is good, and let's just start picking up wins. I'll tell you, Derek, I'm not thinking about Aberdeen. I'm not thinking about Celtic. I'm just thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
We need a run of consistent form. You get that, things will fall into place in other places anyway. Whether or not, I don't really think that's Celtic. I think they're kind of miles over the horizon already.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're unbeatable. I think it's really difficult. But there is occasions coming up. And one of those occasions we're going to have to pick up. Hopefully, you'd want them to win the League Cup even before the league game, because
that'd be massive.
That's a massive statement, and it's silverware for us. So there's opportunities. I said it this morning, as much as this team is much maligned, there's opportunities coming up. But it all starts with the very next game, and it's about building on the wee bits that you've already done. So Sunday becomes absolutely vital. We could be 12 points behind everybody by that point. So we need to make sure we're a strong performance. It won't be easy because you said Neil Critchley will have Hearts well set up and stuff like that, and they'll come and have a wee bit of a go. So, yeah, big game for us. They all are, but this is a big one.
Can't afford to go any more behind than what Rangers already are, which is too much in all our eyes. Scott Girvin gets back in touch, says, final word from me. I actually like the green fruit pastel, but I only eat those in private. So there you go. That's Scott.
I'm a grown-up, Derek, and of the chubby persuasion. I will eat any colour you put in front of me. Don't care in the slightest.
So there you go. On that note, we'll call it a day. Big thanks to Stevie as ever, and thank you to you all as well. And yeah, we'll speak to you again on Monday. We'll have all the usual coverage from Ibrox on Sunday. So please keep your eyes peeled for that. Right, folks, bye for now.